It's Marge, a Heoke empath, and I just like having these little talks on the way I feel about things. And man, things aren't getting wild, man. From where you're sitting, from your perspective, I don't know. You live in a cave? Things are just getting pretty interesting. From where I'm sitting, people I'm talking to, they're not watching the news so much, so there's not a lot of fear. Not a whole lot of, people freaking out about stuff, Because, shoot, I've been afraid of stuff people told me you'd be afraid of for years. Stuff never happened. Nothing really came of it. Well, no, all the truly scary stuff happened to me. I never saw it coming. It's kind of interesting, Ma and I were talking today about how the world's changed, and it's kind of in favor of people like me, the cautious, the always cautious, the people call us skeptical. I'm a realist. I speak in matters of fact, the way I see it. It's funny. I've always had I just got I've been dealt what you call a bad hand, and I made the best of it. I can see the bright side in the darkest situation, and in the best situation, I can see the shadow. It's hard to make friends when you have thought processes like me. Anyway, it's funny. Like the last one of the last readers. I don't have a lot of readers. They're very few and far between, and sometimes someone will volunteer to give me a reading or something. Sometimes it's like $20. I'll do it, here and there. And I had one recently, and they're like, "Yeah, you just have really been screwed over a lot in your life." I'm like, "You don't even know the half of it, and I'm not mad about it. These are and a lot of people have just crap stuff happen in their life. Some just have more happen than others, and some people don't have a whole lot, and they've managed to been sheltered and been hidden away, but at some point it all catches up because life experiences happen. Life is just kind of crappy sometimes. There's all these aspects of the divine feminine that's healing and coming into power right now, and it's really kind of interesting because so many I just never fit in this incarnation. They're just not my place. It's not for me. Like the slut. Never been a slut. I tried. I wanted to be. Just not in me. It's not in me. I've always had the heart of a hopeless romantic monogamous. Just always loved one girl. I just don't know who she is yet. Haven't met her yet. But doesn't mean I'm not going to be faithful to her, so I don't need to be running around with a bunch of other people who are someone else's significant other, same flame. I don't need to be splashing around in that karma pool, And, Benny's just rested his head on my hand. I hate to move it, but I'm gonna. Anyway, so, so a lot of my ideologies, people just thought I was a weirdo and old-fashioned and stuff like that. And what they are is they're coming in, slowly but surely. People are starting to come in more and more alignment to how I think, and it's kind of neat. For example, it's like, what was I gonna talk about earlier with the retrograde stuff, like what's your Mercury retrograde? Everybody's having an opportunity to, really look at stuff. And I have been freaking painfully reminded of my ego. Painfully reminded. I'm laying here as I speak with a hot pad on my back. This is day 3. I thought I was going to wake up like, oh, better than yesterday. And that wasn't the case. I digress. And it's just a painful reminder that this might be, this is like a new, this is just something new, and I'll be 46 in a month from tomorrow, and today I got a little weepy with Mom, because I was like, Mom, I still want to do stuff like, jet ski and things like that. And I said, in the way my back hurts, by just rolling over weird, it scares me. It scares me that this is a potential that, I might have to limit myself physically and think about things, because I'm kind of a daredevil. I always have been. That's kind of why my back's wrecked to begin with, because when I was a little kid, I used to try and do backflips off things. Because if I saw someone could do it, well, if they could do it, I could do it. And so sometimes that would be in like empty creek beds with just rocks in the creek beds, and so anyway, and now I deal with the ramifications of that. And I have degenerative arthritis in my spine, and it's just getting worse. And so I'm thinking about looking at like alternatives for like a back brace, and that's just interesting to me. It's interesting because it's like I'm like my dad like that, because he's always the guy. He's probably still working people around under whatever, but he's just, I don't know, he's just weird. And I'm thinking about him because he called today, and that's just so weird to me. Is I can't make this stuff up, man. I just want to be treated as good as everyone else. Yeah, sure, some people want to be, in some relationships, they want to be treated better than everybody else. If I call, ideally, if I were to call, I don't have anybody that I'd call that they would be like, oh, this is Marge, I gotta take this, and excuse themselves. There's nobody on the planet that I know right now that would do that. Everybody that I exist to would let me go to voicemail, and then they'd maybe listen to see what I want. And it hurts, And he called, he FaceTimed me, and I told the story to Mom earlier about the last time I called him. It was 2 years ago. He was getting his hip replaced from when he had an accident. I was 12. He was, I don't know, he was 36, something like that. But he'd crushed his head open in 5 places, and I know how head injuries, I'm very, very, very versed in head injuries and how they alter people and change people, and people, just like any other time, they're either thrust more into their heart or their ego, and he's an ego guy. He's a man's man, and he's always been physical and stuff, and I used to be, but my back isn't up to it like his is. And anyway, so he FaceTimed me, like he pocket dialed me, and he hung up. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's like in my family. They won't even like see it through. See, I would think of it as like, oh, I pocket dialed, I'll just let it go, and then just be like, must be divine, because I didn't really mean to do that, but I thought I'd see it through. No, he just hang up, My father hung. So I went back in my phone and changed it from Dad and put it into Greg, because he don't get that title, Just because we're born with people, we come with people that are guides into this realm, doesn't mean that they're gonna be here for the whole time that we're here, and some of the best lessons that we can learn from them are how to be independent and rely on ourselves. And some of us have learned a long time ago that you can't really rely on other people. And look at the rude awakening that so many people are having in the world today, that you can't rely on other people. I mean, this whole last 4 years have been nothing but about how the news is nothing but unreliable. And then now with this virus, then all of a sudden, what are people going to start believing it now? I mean, I'm in this whole craze because people are freaking dirty, filthy pigs and don't wash their hands, and it's just more evidence about how that is, That's how the flu gets passed around. People are fucking dirty, filthy pigs. They don't wash their hands like freaking decent human beings. But if you look around, look at all this stuff that, they're freaking out. Like Seattle, they're quarantine hotel, buying empty buildings for people to put in quarantines. Why the fuck were you assholes doing this for all the homeless people? That's this thing. That's what's happening with this awakening is like, dude, there's plenty of money. You should just say that there's numbers. Just everybody do what you want. Put people in places for shelter, you know? And the funny part about it is freaking idiot governor. I'm not even going to say her name, the governor of Oregon. She doesn't even deserve the respect for me to freaking utter her name. She is so stupid. Declares a case of emergency in Oregon. They're like, oh, the homeless people are so susceptible. They're like, I'm like, dude, their immune system is harder than anybody else's. They're probably less susceptible to any sickness because they're living in the elements, and I've talked about that in other videos, just like me and Mom. You know, we haven't had a cold in 15 years, you know? It's about how you take care of yourself and if you're a dirty, filthy pig. So, it ain't that deep, people. It ain't that deep. Anyway, so I was thinking earlier about, you know, about all these different female paradigms that I haven't been a part of, and how I was, you know, I wanted to be the girl that hung out with all the girls and pretty girls, and I'm too bashful and I'm too old fashioned and I'm too monogamous, so that ain't my deal. But the advantage of that is not being a sexual being is that every encounter I have with people is a true intimate encounter, and it's not sex-based at all. At all. You know? And that is so freeing going into an encounter, because everyone I meet, they're somebody else's significant other. Even if they're their own significant other, they're their own match within themselves, it doesn't matter. They're not for me. So it takes all that pressure off. And when I think about all the people in the world that look for human connection and chasing sensation and instant gratification, they never ever get that human connection. So they're desperately trying in a physical way to reach the connection I get in a non-physical way, and that is how the world is shifting, because more people are starting to see it like that. And for that I am grateful. That's all I got for now. Hope you have a rad evening. Peace.